Welcome to episode 11 of my podcast, sorry. Guys, if it seems like I'm a bit like a bit hot skelter, it's because I've actually recorded this episode at least twice today. So this is yeah, is it twice? Three times? No. Yeah, no, this is the third time. This is the third time. The first time I tried recording it obviously just as a video. Second time was audio. And now this third time is just audio. It's because obviously I recently bought a new mic. But yeah, it's not like, let's not even talk about the mic because it's going to get bundled in our terms of context and everything. So I want to talk about Nobody Wants This. So obviously, I also did a review on Substack. I wrote a review on Substack, and I just was talking about the similarities between Fleabag, and Nobody Wants This. The fact that obviously Adam Brody plays a rabbi, a hot rabbi, practically because hot priest as well, like in Fleabag. Sorry, so it's kind of like hot rabbi, hot priest, yeah. And then obviously you have Christian Bell, who's Joanne, who's like she has, you could say she has Fleabag tendencies. I can't lie. Like in terms of like character types, I mean, they could seem quite similar as people. Um, except actually, I'm not sure. Maybe Fleabag is more what's the word? Fleabag is more disastrous maybe than Joanne. Sorry. Um, yeah, that's what makes Fleabag such a great character, as we all know. It's that like it's the relatability with Fleabag. Sorry, and like the fact that she's obviously such a character that's like that's like that like has flaws and like like cries about things like the amount of breakdowns Fleabag had in that show like was just a lot. You know what I mean? And so obviously that's just saying a lot. Like, but Joanne didn't really have much, like in this whole entire show. Joanne basically, she seemed quite well together. And like honestly, probably what the only time she really broke apart was at the end. Like, generally speaking, and that might be a spoiler actually already, but yeah, it was literally only the ending. That was the only time I really saw Joanne really have cracks as such. And then I meant cracks in terms of like, in terms of vulnerability. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in terms of emotion, more so than like, more so than just like, being comical, which she obviously has that in common, with Fleabag. But I mean, she doesn't have Fleabag's rawness. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't have her rawness, which is not anything bad. I'm just trying to say is that I realized what they did, and I realized that Fleabag and Nobody Wants This have similarities, but of course they also have differences because I meant they wouldn't want to make the same exact show twice, and that's valid. They just fringe on the same theme. Do you know what I mean? I was saying that like um that nobody wants this is like nobody wants this externally and not internally because the two people involved want the relationship. It's the people on the outside that don't want it. And then in Fleabag, it's them two. It's the people involved who don't want the relationship. And the people on the out and Fleabag were like, I feel like they didn't really mind, to be honest. Like, yeah, I don't think they were already that fast. But what I'm saying is, obviously, and nobody wants this. It's more of a thing that, like, it's more of a thing that, like, um, the family doesn't want it, and obviously, Joanne's not fitting the bill, the type. She's not. She's just not the right label, pretty much. And then it's like I feel like yes, Fleabag is a second chance. I mean, not Fleabag. Sorry, you see, I'm always thinking about Fleabag 24/7. Anyways, I'm saying nobody wants this as a second chance at getting the happy ending that we didn't get in Fleabag, if that makes sense. It's like we obviously got at the end of Fleabag. Oh, it'll pass. We said no. We don't want to hear that. But like, and then I'm saying with what's it called? With nobody wants this, we're getting a second chance at seeing how something like that actually plays out, and if it does actually work. I mean, like in terms of, can Noah really have the best of both worlds practically? You know, a Hannah Montana scenario. Can he really have both? Do you know what I mean? It's like Hot Priest and Fleabag knew he couldn't have both, so he obviously gave it up. But obviously Noah's saying he doesn't want to give it up. And then the season, then obviously knowing that the news of season two, it's like season two will obviously reveal to us how he handles that, and how their relationship unravels, if it works out, which even the ending made me think it possibly won't. And I don't mind that it won't work out. Like, that's the thing. In terms of like, maybe it's like, oh, I've seen this story before and I didn't like the ending. Maybe it's a scenario like that. I'm like, maybe in my head I'm thinking it's not gonna work anyway. But we don't know. We have to see first. I was also talking about how um yeah, it's nice to see Adam Brody in a new role. I like the way that he acts in terms of he's very comedic, sorry. Kristen Bell, I think that she's also great. She obviously was Anna in Frozen. And that's mainly actually our main, our main thing of her. Like, I meant for me anyway, when I think of Christian Bell, I think of Frozen. I think about the fact that, yeah, like she's obviously somebody who went to an arts university, so that means, she's vocally trained. But like, obviously, I'm saying that it's like, it's not as to say that she is a singer. Um, she's not a singer. She's actually just an actress, which is what I was talking about, to do with um Wicked and like Joker 2, and like how they gave Lady Gaga that role, and they're like, oh, this is a musical, and like, you're a singer, so this is the thing for you. And it's the same thing with like Wicked as well, because they're like, oh, Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, these are singers. Even though Cynthia Erivo was an actress, or like she's mainly an actress, but I don't know, they know she has a good voice, so it kind of just feels like, yeah, they gave it to her. But I just want to see, I think for me, yes, in terms of that kind of genre, like I just want to see more people get those roles who um can't necessarily sing. And I also, because I was thinking about Zac Efron not singing High School Musical 1, and I was thinking about the fact that, yeah, these people said, oh, they thought this other guy was the better fit for Troy, and it's like, hello, but he's not playing Troy, so it's like, he's not who we're looking at on the screen, so why do we want to hear a different voice to the person? Because that reminds me of the fact that, yeah, people would do that back in the day of musicals, of dubbing the voice, and it's like, no, like nobody wants to hear that. We want to hear the genuine calls. You want to hear like the proper vocals. Like, I want to hear you sing, and I want to hear you also mean it. Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, to think, yeah, they didn't let him sing in High School Musical 1, then he sings in 2 and 3, and then he goes on to do Hairspray, and it's like, okay, so actually, Zac Efron can sing. So, what were you guys talking about? You know, hold on. And I just think they should let people, like in Hollywood, they should obviously let people sing who, like, yeah, who aren't necessarily singers. I mean, but like, who need training for it? Like, as in, who need vocal lessons, because I feel like it shows more, like it shows more determination. It's like how I was when I looked at the first look of A Complete Unknown, for example, and I was like to myself, okay, like okay, Timmy has been on the stage before, so I was like, has he really put much work into this film? But then again, I think he's put lots of work into it, as like, okay, that's what I mean. And he doesn't really necessarily sing, like, but he has sung in movies before. Like, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, no, now we can't necessarily say he's fitting the type of being somebody who doesn't necessarily sing, because he's grown up on the stage. Like, the guy's like, obviously he was growing up like on the stage of doing like plays and that. So it's like, he's practically a Broadway theatre kid if you think about it. So we can't necessarily say that um we can't actually say that he doesn't have pipes, as in that he's not a singer. But what I'm saying is, obviously, he's not a singer, like, as in it's not his occupation. And then he's obviously, I think, for Complete Unknown, he's mainly singing in it, like, just all the time. Like, all the performances, they're all him live, and it's just like that's a mark of a good actor. I mean, because obviously they're going outside of their box and they're testing themselves in terms of pushing themselves to um yeah, pushing themselves to sing, like, just outside of the box, really. Like, as in, they're more like, main thing they do is acting, but they're actually going to sing instead. Um Moving on. It's so funny how I said moving on. I'm actually doing this like this is practically like ordered. It's just because, as I mentioned, it's just in terms of like structure, and it's because the fact that I've done this so many times today, and it's like they're not all aligned, because I feel like I've said different ones in each different thing. But okay, back to back to where we was. Like, hold on a second. Also, I was gonna say, so to back on topic, that, like, also nobody wants this also had a great comedic value. And I was also, like, obviously talking about um how, like, shows like New Girl and also Nobody Wants This, they don't really have, like, like, the laughing backing track like you'll get in, like, American sitcoms, where it's like you don't know if it really is genuinely funny. But when they don't have that, it's like the show feels like it genuinely is funny. Like, even Fleabag as a show, like, it's not even like when you think about Fleabag, and we're like, is Fleabag a comedy? No, it's very, very, very much so. Like, it's very much so painful. Like, it's not. It's like we say Fleabag is a tragedy. It's not. It's not really like. It's not really funny. Like, but then I'm saying, like, in terms of how Fleabag has funny moments, and then it's like you don't really need that backing track as such, because the jokes are just there in front of you and they just feel funny. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I think, oh yeah, I mentioned it in my other one, that I was the other recording, that, like, I tried to watch the Wizards of Waverly Place reboot, and, like, I don't know, sometimes it's like, sometimes be sure when you hear a review from somebody else. Like, I think I was on YouTube, and it's the Alex guy, maybe Alex Myers. I think his name's Alex Myers. But yeah, I saw his review about his Waverly Place, and sure, in my head I was like, oh, did it put me off? But it might have done that anyway, because I tried watching it myself. Even before seeing his review, I said in my head I tried watching it on my own before seeing his video. It's like, obviously, seeing his video, like, was like, oh my gosh, it's a video about his Waverly Place, and I was like, I want to hear somebody else say what my thoughts were. Like, do you know what I mean? That's the same thing you think about when you see a review on something that you've seen, or yeah, seen or watched, and you're like, if this person has the same thoughts as I did, I'll know that I wasn't alone. And it's the same thing with the Wavy page, because I saw it pop up and I was like, yeah, I couldn't really sink my teeth into I couldn't really sink my teeth into this reboot. And as a with some Waverly Place girl, like, growing up on Disney Channel, I was like, I really wanted to like this. Like, I really wanted to like it. I tried. I didn't like it. So, but it's like, it's because I was saying that how maybe young me thought back in the day when there was a laughing track. You really thought, like, I don't know, you probably didn't pay attention to it. But it's then when you do hear it, like, when you're growing up now, you just think it sounds disingenuous, or it just feels cringe somehow. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like it feels weird. I don't know what feels weird about it. But it's not to say, like, how I did in my other episode about Two and a Half Men. It's not to say, like, those shows are bad, though, because they're not. Just because they have backing tracks doesn't mean they suck. It just means they're not as fresh as the ones that don't have it. So the ones like New Girl and Nobody Wants This, because New Girl is like one of my comfort shows, and it's generally like, yeah, it's just a funny show. Like, there's no way around it. Like, the jokes don't feel forced. They're relaxed. They're just funny. Like, a scene from example from New Girls. Let me even bring in an example as well. Remember when I think Smith go to pick up somebody, or he goes to a school, innit? He goes to pick up his daughter or something, and then he's like, oh, and she's like, a white man broke into the school, and he said, a white man, and then he said, what did security do about it? She says, nothing, and he's like, typical. And it's like, that's like, what do they say? Is that satire? Like, as in, that's just like a joke that's like so easy. Like, it's like, of course that's a joke you would make, because of course they don't do anything when it comes to white people. Do you get it? And I guess what's also funny is that he's the white man in question. That's actually also the funny thing. That's the one step further. When a joke gets funnier, that's the one step more, because Smith was the guy who broke into the school, and we were like, "Hello." It's like when a joke reaches its, obviously, yeah, when it reaches its climax, and then you're like, "Oh, I get it." It's that kind of thing, and I love like slow approach jokes like that. You know what I mean? Jokes that don't immediately get to you all the time. You know what I mean? Joke that takes its time to sit, and you're like, yes, eureka. That's what it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just very, very, very important to have. I mean, in comedy in general, that's why I obviously really am, yeah, why I really enjoyed Nobody Wants This, and why I think, it does have potential for being a good show. And like, obviously, with its second season coming up, I obviously feel like, you know yeah, it has potential to be a good show. And it also has obviously potential in, yes, redeeming um our ending for Fleabag. It has potential in rewriting it. It has potential in, healing us. Like, it's closure in a way, like in a roundabout way. It's closure, and I need it. Um, I'm sure we all do. You know, we all do, because every time I think about Fleabag, I'm like, it left such a grip on me, and I need the grip released. I need the grip released. I need to be relieved of it. And I think that Nobody Wants This can do that for me. Even though I think to myself, oh yeah, I think I was saying it, yeah, in my other recording. If I think to myself that maybe, possibly, their relationship might not work either. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Except then I think to myself, then maybe that's why they are trying to do it in this way, because they don't want it to be the exact same as they don't want it, yeah, they don't want it to be the exact same as feedback. So maybe that is why they're trying it out in this way anyways. And then in a way, if they didn't if it didn't succeed, would we feel like we're just getting another Fleabag? Possibly. That's also another thing that they should think about. Maybe it's like, think, like, in the writers room we said, guys, think about these things, because if we if you have spin out the same show, there might be a revolt. And I think I would be the front. I'd be the headliner. Like, I'd be the person at the front, because I'm just like, why would you do that? It just would be very rude, because I already, obviously, like I said, I already like need closure, number one, from Fleabag, and if you're gonna do the same thing again, then it's just not gonna work. I mean, I just think, like, I don't know, like, every time when I watched Fleabag at first, I thought, like, the way of making religion be an obstacle in a relationship, I was like, wow, like, does this happen? Like, like, even just when you sometimes when you look at a show and you're like, yeah, but, like, does this have realistic elements to it? Because you're like, wow, do people really fall out because of their religions? Which I sometimes think about that myself sometimes, is to say, like, I think sometimes religion does play a huge part in relationships, because, like, I don't know, like for two people, that's what I've always wondered, like as in if you're dating somebody who maybe you believe in God and you believe about them strongly and then that person doesn't, how does that really how does that really work? Do you know what I mean? And can it work? That's the bigger question, of course. Can it actually work? Because you'll go to church, for example, you'll want them to come to church. They don't want to come to church, of course, because they don't have the same faith. And so it's like, what do you do then? Do you know what I mean? And it's the same thing. Then you can compare it to Joanna Noah. Like he wanted her, like obviously, yeah, like at the ending. So spoiler again, like he wanted her to convert to Judaism, but it's like she knew in her heart that she didn't actually want to convert to that religion, and it's like she just wanted to convert to the religion because of Noah, and of course she knew a decision like that can't just be made of wanting to convert for the person that you're with. You have to feel like you want to convert because it's important to you and because obviously you are in touch with their values, their beliefs. You feel the same exact way, but it's gonna have to be on an equal standing. And I don't know. Like I'm telling you, this kind of topic is something that I've thought about in depth. Like I said, I haven't thought about it in depth, but I have thought about it previously because it's like I'm somebody, even for me, like somebody who doesn't really have strong religious beliefs, and I've always wondered that if I met somebody who did have strong religious beliefs, what would I do about that? And then, in a way, would it end up changing my mindset? Or I don't think it would do. By the way, actually, just to say that, I mean, disclaimer: I don't think that it would do that because I think with religion, it's very, like I said, I think it's very um important, and you have to it's like it's your beliefs and your morals, it's things that you really believe in, and I think that they make up people, and I think, yeah, uh you can't just play it by ear, and you also, I don't think you can be like swayed or persuaded or that kind of thing, when people, I don't know, yeah, when people have the mind of converting you, I mean, sometimes I think most religious people have that in them in general. Like when you're talking to somebody and you feel like, yeah, you feel like they're having a consultation with you rather than like just speaking to you, if that makes sense. But like I'm just saying in terms of that, and I think, yeah, that's why I think beliefs are a huge thing, and I think they can't just be probably changed by they can't be changed by a person, and they can't be like, it has to be something that's in you, like you have to already say, yeah, I believe in him. But like I've always seen that interview with David Bowie, obviously where he says the shoo silly. And I'm like David Bowie captures that thing entirely. Like he says he believes in a higher being. And I've always thought, yeah, I agree that with that too. Like I don't believe in him, like in this idea which is man made, but like I don't believe in that in general, but like I believe in, like, you know, I think David Bowie ends up saying, yeah, he believes in life. He loves life. And we're like, yeah, like life is the root, you know what I mean? Like it's the main thing. Us believing in, some kind of, yeah, said power, like, you know, it's just it's your belief, of course, and it's how you feel, but it's like I don't really think it like um yeah, I don't think it rides on it, because I think, like David says, it's like life is way more important than that. Sorry. Yeah, moving on from that. I was also gonna say about, yeah, I was very surprised about Netflix renewing the series also, because obviously I know that Netflix are very selective in what they decide to bring back. Sorry. I was thinking about today, even before when I saw it. I mean, when I saw the news, I was thinking about the society, and I was thinking about I'm not okay with this, and I was even thinking about the fact that maybe I'd even write yeah, an article about like shows that have been cancelled by Netflix. Then I was like, I don't know if I wanna. I don't know if I want to bash Netflix as such, because that's not fair, because we all watch Netflix and I don't really think they're a bad franchise, but I don't understand why obviously they do it in that way. In terms of I just don't know why. Um yeah, I don't know why they um yeah, so I don't know why they handle it in that way, like in terms of um yeah, in terms of I don't know. I think to myself, oh yeah, I could say what the answer is right now, this podcast, but it would be a lie. I don't know why they do what they do. How could I really say? I don't work at Netflix. so so I don't know why they do it. Um I know that, well, because they're a business, yeah, it's about money and it's about what they think makes them money. But I just think to myself, like, it's never good when they drop like shows out that people obviously cling to and like have viewers in, which is like a lot of shows. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Society did have a viewing base, and I'm sure I'm not okay with this still as well. I mean, when I was checking today, excuse me, in terms of like fact checking for this, obviously it came out in 2020, and I was like, yeah, but I know that in 2020, like everyone um, really did like it. So I was really just surprised. I mean, no, I mean I was surprised, yeah, when it got cancelled. I mean, like it was just very interesting for it to be cancelled, and because it's the same way, like I'd never like it, of course, when like shows are cancelled and like you feel like it's ending on a cliffhanger. Like, it's good when a show is like finished and it feels finished. But then if there's loopholes, then it's really not good. Do you know what I mean? There's like things that need to be explained. And I think whether I'm not okay with this, I think people said there was stuff that needed to be explained. Or like I think I can remember. But like Sydney was like she was covered in blood in the last episode probably. And I think because she'd murdered somebody. I can't exactly remember what it was that she had done though. But her ending also was just like, yeah, it was just so left on a thing. It's also the same thing. That's what I mean. Sometimes like it's not even a Netflix thing, because like even as somebody who watches Korean dramas, I feel like a they have a short shelf life, and like they usually only get like, yeah, one season, bang, you're done. They don't really get much going on from them. Like once they've been done, I mean, it's just a thing where they come out and then they're finished, basically. Which is even why, like, I think, did I write a review about Judge from Hell? I can't remember. No, I don't think so. But I'm writing that in my November watches. Like, but that Judge from Hell, when I finished it, I tried to see if there was gonna be news about season two, and I didn't see anything. But that's obviously still like it still obviously lingers in the air, because it ended in a cliffhanger. So you just think to yourself, you know, are they gonna come out with news about it, or are they just gonna pan it? And it's that's the two things, like when a show finishes, you're like, those are the two things that linger in your mind. You said, is it coming back or is it panned? There's no other option really, it's just those two. And I think to myself, that's really sad about shows though, because like, you know, I just think if you can really juice out a show, they should do it. Um, you could also, yeah, you just always should just juice out a show as much as you can, basically. Um, because, it's good, and it's good to have viewers, of course, and to entertain people. But I don't know. Um, yeah. Hold on a second. Okay, but basically now, anyways, to close. So I also was just very happy with the fact that um Adam Brody's back on TV. It's just I don't know. It was something in me that said, "Oh, Adam Brody, he was in Gilmore Girls for a bit and he dated Lane." And I was like, ah, I missed him. And I think I also remember when I wrote my Nobody Wants This review, I was also talking about the fact that I feel like him and Dylan O'Brien are very similar. And I meant in the way, yeah, that they approach acting. Like how I said how Adam Brody's very comedic. Like Dylan O'Brien is also quite comedic as an actor. So that's why I mean I when I look at Adam Brody and I also think of Dylan O'Brien, I'm like, these two actors, they're similar people. And I'm like, imagine if if they made it if they had Adam and Dylan work together and they did a thing where like I don't know, they had Dylan play a younger version of Adam. I don't know, like I don't know, you know. I'm like I'm just throwing that out there, like you don't know. It's good to throw things out in the existence because it could be a manifestation. Um, it could be a thing where I've said it and then years to come that ends up happening. I mean, I checked on Google, but Adam Brody's 44. I don't know how old Dylan O'Brien is. I don't think he's that old though. I really don't. I don't remember though. Like obviously, did we know Dylan O'Brien mainly from obviously Teen Wolf, and I think that obviously Dylan O'Brien recently has been in Saturday Night. Yes, Saturday Night. It's just called Saturday Night. And so it's also interesting to see him like back in acting too. He's obviously no, he's mainly for me he's well known in Teen Wolf. Like that's my main thing. But he's also known in like what's it called? He's mainly known in the Maze Runner films as well, which I haven't really watched. But yes, I'm just saying that him and Adam Brody are very similar. And they really did do very good casting. I meant like in terms of just the whole character ensemble of the show, they just did a good job. I don't know. Everyone's chemistry is very believable. And you always want that in a show. Like it's like when I was watching the New Girl reunion interview and I was like, these guys really bonded on this show. Like they really did bond. In terms of just like when you watch the interview and you just feel like you're watching their characters, if that makes sense, and you just feel like you're watching a New Girl episode, but you're generally not. You're really just watching these real life people who just play their characters really well. And that's my favorite kind of also like my favorite kind of like acting slash like I don't know. It's not really a genre, I don't think, but like it is my favorite turns kind of like way of acting of where like you don't really feel like the person who's acting is like putting that much acting in, but like they're just kind of just they're just being themselves basically. Which is just so interesting. It's like it's how I think that's how Adam Brody takes acting on, and Dylan O'Brien, and like I don't know, and probably Timothy Chalamet. Except maybe with Timmy though, I feel like maybe he has more of he might sometimes with his characters like as in he probably needs more of a push like that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he's such a young actor and already he's played a drug addict, which is like it's just like I think to myself, acting is just crazy. It's a crazy industry because it's like he's not even that. At the time when he probably was playing Nick, sorry, it's not even like he was all that old. Like, do you know what I mean? Or even it makes me think about obviously when Leonardo DiCaprio played that guy in the Basketball Diaries, and he's like, I need money, and you're like, yeah, like this is a star, and it's like it's the same feeling you get in Beautiful Boy as well, because it's like when you see those compilations on TikTok of where Timmy cries in them, um, and he just cries in every film. And when he cries in a film, it's a mark of a good film, basically. It's the same thing how I keep talking about the Florence Pugh frown. Ugh, that frown is so remarkable. I said actors are so great. Some of them just have trademarks, and it's very beautiful. As in to have a trademark as an actor, it's like you see it on a screen, and you're like, okay, we're sat. Do you know what I mean? We're sat. We are. We are captured. Everything's gonna just be great. It's just the same way when yeah. In my head, I was like, when I saw Nobody Wants This, I don't know what I thought, to be fair. In the way I thought it should be one of those like couple series is. But like obviously it's yeah, I think in a way it didn't disappoint, and I think in a way maybe it didn't, yeah, it wasn't the expectations I had for it, but it did deliver. Like I think I didn't plan for it to be the way that like I didn't plan for it to go the way that it has, but it's a good show. Like it's got me stammering and stuttering. I don't even know. I can't even say. But then I can say because I spoke about it for 36 minutes. But I just mean, as in, now I'm out of things to say because the show is that good that the only way you guys will know is if you watch it. You see? That's what these podcast episodes are for. I said that is now the conclusion. You guys have listened to me out about it for 36 minutes. If you haven't been convinced to watch it so far, that's very confusing. But and like it's confusing because the aim of it is to convince you to watch it. So that's what's confusing about it. Um I'm just, yeah, I'm very optimistic on what the ending will be. And yeah, we have to see Noah fight with his religion, which is so interesting. Religion versus temptation, which is always something that people who are religious grapple with, you know? They grapple with that because they don't feel like it really they don't really feel like it sits in their morals. Like how I mentioned in terms of morals, they don't really think that it meets the requirement. Even though in that show, yeah, like I don't know, I like to myself, is Noah like a strict Jew? Like it's not like oh yeah, do we all really know what like a Jew looks like, and I mean what they really believe in? We can't say because we're not Jews, but like I was just thinking, like, he does mainly all the other stuff that like, that random people do. Like, but in terms, I guess he doesn't like when the mum gets that basket and then she still kind of eats it, but they just don't like really do that kind of stuff. But I just meant like, he was in that sex shop with Joanne, and it's like he obviously shouldn't have been in there. And it's like obviously it probably is not something probably just like a traditional Jew would do, I suppose. But hey ho, that's my that's my last closing statement. That's all I had to say. And yeah, I don't know what the next episode of the podcast will be. By the way, I really don't know. I think what I will say is, I plan to have guests, um, on some of them soon. So, but they might not even be about movies necessarily, but it will just be a, a yapping session. And it will have a different title and everything, but of course, it will still be under the same name, but just a different title. You know what I'm trying to say. But thank you for listening, and hope to see you again soon.